and welcome. If you're a payment service provider looking to understand how the right partnership can boost your bottom line, help you stand out from the competition, and pave the way for a successful expansion, you've come to the right place. My name is Mélisande Mual, publisher of the Paypers, and today I'm joined by Yuri Candela, the Chief Business Development Officer at Solidgate, a rapidly growing payment processing and orchestration platform. So, hi Yuri, thanks for joining us. How are you today?
Hi, Mélisande. Thank you for having me. Always good. I'm glad to join this conversation.
We're super excited to have you here. So, in this conversation, we will explore your strategic partnership with Silverflow, a collaboration that has been pivotal in improving payment performance and conversion for your customers while growing your bottom line. We'll also discuss how this partnership is enabling Solidgate's ambitious growth plans, including your expansion into new markets. So let's dive in. So, Yuri, can you tell us a bit more about Solidgate, the company, and the type of merchants that you serve?
Yes, so Solidgate is a PSP payment orchestration platform. We have multiple integrations with a number of acquirers, APMs, to enable online payments card acceptance for our clients. Our target for the merchants are like online retail, e-commerce, marketplaces, digital goods, and subscription. Basically, we're experts in terms of monetizing for consumer subscriptions businesses.
That's a tough market. And can you tell us a bit about the number of what you process and your growth ambitions?
So we have more than 200 clients in our portfolio. We are processing more than $5 billion annually, and we are going to achieve like 100 billion processing within 5 years term horizon.
Pretty ambitious, Yuri. Great.
Well, it's quite realistic given that we sustain the growth rates at least like 2x year over year.
So that's been until now, and on that trajectory, this is definitely a great end goal. And what is your remit within the company? What is your role?
My role, I'm responsible for the strategy, partnerships, and ecosystem for the partnerships, bank partnerships at our company. So basically, everything what's done in terms of payments processing is built around partnerships for the ecosystem. You cannot anything developed by yourself. Some features you can, but definitely you need counterparts to help you to boost the product features for your company.
Yeah, in this industry, it's all about partnership. Hence, also this interview, because I think you have some really interesting things to say here. You mentioned large chunk of your customers are merchants selling consumers subscriptions. What are some of the biggest challenges of these subscriptions businesses? What challenges do they face?
Well, usually it's in terms of payments performance. So actually, because our customers are investing a lot of marketing budgets in terms of traffic acquisition campaigns, and therefore they spend a lot of time to attract the customer, and especially for lifetime value for each customer attracted to the platforms or for our clients. It's in terms of churn, retention, and therefore like subscriptions. The higher acceptance rates you have for subscriptions, the more successful you are in terms of bottom line for your merchants. So that's one of the challenges was to how to properly manage retry strategies, how to properly manage tokenization techniques, tools to take innovation steps in this regard, like account updaters or token lifecycle management, which helps our merchant to boost their conversion at least by 7%. In comparison, if they didn't have such tools or features in place, because it's like payments at the end of the funnel, it should help to make the purchase accepted, approved, and that's what we're working on. So basically, our role to help our merchants and to show them how payments can help them to boost their revenues incrementally.
So you mentioned some of the challenges are, basically to get the renewals through, basically to make sure that you prevent churn from happening, because there's so much money spent on the marketing part to get those people to the checkout page, and as a subscription, that payment is a crucial part. You mentioned a couple of value-added services like tokenization and whatnots. What hurdles did you encounter when you wanted to roll out these solutions that are so critical for your customers? What challenges did you face?
Well, the point is to have the data. So basically, the payments is about data, and the more data you have, the more actions you can take upon. What we done together with Silverflow, so basically they possess the data directly from the card schemes, and we could operate this data much more efficient. Moreover, it's important for us to go to market, because if you can implement innovations directly from the schemes on the one hand, you can spend on that around 10 months or 12 months. With counterparts like Silverflow, you can spend less than a month, to roll out the features. And of course, that's because we're growing super fast, our clients are growing super fast, and we want to implement the most innovative features as soon as possible. And that's why we're working with Silverflow. They help us a lot in that regard. They help us a lot in terms of payment data. They help us a lot to shorten the time to go to market. That's basically two key areas which helped us a lot to boost our bottom lines.
So if I understand you correctly, it took months to get these features, the scheme features like network tokenization, deployed with your previous partner?
It's more about whether the partner is capable of doing network processing. Historically, we have implemented network tokenizations directly with Visa and MasterCard back 5 years ago, and a very few payment providers they can process network tokens, and therefore, in order to be on track, in order to be able to do so, Silverflow helped us to make it as fast as possible.
You mentioned also some other topics where Silverflow stood out of the competition is how they work with data. Can you elaborate a little bit on that, on the innovation, on the data part that they bring for you?
Yeah, sure. So basically, they have a great feature like fees calculator or scheme fees calculator. We working with enterprise merchants on the IC++ model, because it's more transparent for the merchants. They understand what part of the fees goes to the issuers at interchange, which part of the fees goes directly to Visa and MasterCard. Usually Visa and MasterCard, they have like large books for the fees, more than 5,000 pages. And it would be a nightmare to understand the whole picture of which fees are implemented for each particular transaction, because it might differ from card type, either it's prepaid, debit, credit card, corporate card, not corporate, whether it's cross-border transaction, not cross-border transaction. And the reconciliation, especially when you're processing and the client is more than 100 millions of their revenue. They want to reconcile their payment data. They want to understand how much they pay. And of course, if you provide this data, you can utilize this data to show how much fees you spent on the interchange, how much fees you have spent on the schemes, how you can optimize with the routing techniques. Because, for instance, authenticated transaction can be optimized by 5-10 bips. Or if you utilize network tokenization, you can optimize your scheme cost by 5-10 bips. On huge volumes for our clients, it doesn't matter. So basically, if you optimize somehow the fee by 5-10 bips, it still doesn't matter. And this helps a lot, because the more precise data you receive, the more precise you can make calculation, the more precise you can make add-ons at the product, because different acquirers, they have different systems, different integrations. They have different approaches in terms of fees calculations and data representation. Most of this data are on aggregated basis, and you understand how it's like scheme fee for particular volume based, but you don't understand whether it's for authorization, whether it's on clearing, which fee is applicable for authentication, for example. And with Silverflow, we receive data like as it's constructed and provided by the scheme rules. It's very helpful because if you work with large enterprise merchants, you understand the picture, you understand the way how you can optimize your routing techniques, how you can optimize your card processing. It's valuable on the market, and it's the key differentiator. If you compare to the pillars other on the market for the backend processors, usually they don't have scheme fees calculators. Yeah, they have some estimators, but still you need to make some additional work because it depends on where you're based. For instance, if you're Cyprus-based company, Cyprus-based PSP, there would be one approach in terms of scheme implementation. If you're based in Poland, PSP, another approach implementation. If in Spain, another. And you can add on which the traffic capabilities from the merchant side, because multi-merchants, they are global businesses. They have traffic from Spain, from Poland, they have traffic from the United States, they have traffic from Canada. And all these fees, it would be a nightmare to combine or to understand. As mentioned before, you need to read 5,000 pages from each scheme rules book to understand which fees you're paying for Visa and MasterCard. And that's something which was developed by decades, by different generations from Visa and MasterCard.
So they have the expertise to basically go through this, 5,000 pages, and really help you getting this transparency and clarity with the scheme calculator.
Yeah, that's true, and more important because if you work with the data, you need to have programmatic solutions, and Silverflow does provide programmatic solutions which help us to reconcile and understand this data on the transaction level basis. So basically, we understand how much we are paying for authorization, how much we pay for clearing. We understand how much we pay for the authentication to Visa and MasterCard. So basically, this does give us incredible value for reconciliation system and for our payment orchestration platform. So where we have multiple integrations and all our clients' portfolio by 90% plus, they have an IC++ model. And therefore, if we encourage them to accept IC++ model, we need to help them to understand IC++, what's plus one, what's plus two, how it's calculated, and not just how it's calculated, but to represent the data so it would be quite easy to read. Because on the client side, single accountant or financial controller or financial analyst, if they don't spend a lot of time and efforts to understand it, that means you provide good service and a good product.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned a couple of features, the latest scheme features like network tokenization or 3RI, then this scheme calculator and the data that they provide with the programmatic approach. Which feature of the Silverflow's platform has been most valuable for your business?
Well, I would say that's the ability to process network tokens. We have enabled the network tokens not only recurrent or MIT transactions. We have enabled network tokens on the first initial payments. As mentioned before, for the subscription economy, it's important to get the highest possible acceptance rates on the first payment, because on that it depends your subsequent payments with average LTV ratio like 4 or 5. So basically 4 or 5 times can be subscription reiterated. And if you tokenize this from the first, we receive provisional token from Visa and MasterCard directly, and we send this token to process through Silverflow platform or to another acquiring systems. We get the approval rate by 7-8% higher. So basically, the math, it's very simple. If you process, for instance, $100 million per month on initial payments, you get incrementally 7-8 million just on the initial payments. And within the next 4-6 months, you can get incrementally 50 million. So actually 40-30 million. So it depends on different traffic structure, different geographies, of course. But that's how it helps. That's how payments should help our merchants to their bottom lines. Because, for instance, if you can just accept the payment and to make the settlement from point A and B, it's not enough this time. You need to have ancillary services. You need to have innovations in terms of technologies, features. Visa and MasterCard are big corporations, but they're developing a lot of technologies in order to make our life in payments simple. And basically, it goes around two pillars. One pillar is tokenization. So basically, that's why we spent a lot of efforts in terms of network tokens. Another pillar is authentication, because local regulations in Euro Payment Service Directive number 2, and there will be Payment Service Directive number 3. Yeah. It requires strong customer authentication. It requires exemption management in the most efficient way, in order to pad this data, to implement features, because classical 3D secure, it's conversion killer usually. But if you can get frictionless 3D secure at the highest rate possible due to data optimization, I would say that's a perfect synergy, because as mentioned before, Silverflow helps a lot in terms of data interpretation. We utilize this data improperly, and we can increase our frictionless rate in terms of 3D secure transaction. Also, we can utilize Visa data only, MasterCard insights. We could develop directly with the schemes, but we would spend much more time, and we can test this with Silverflow just within a couple of weeks. So actually, what these features gives for the merchant, it gives a frictionless flow for the payment. So user experience is smooth and frictionless. And of course, the merchant takes liability of the ship. But still, if you pass all parameters and data, like cardholder name, IP address, BIN data, device fingerprints, it can boost your conversion rates, because the issuer system, it depends on the risk scoring. They assess how much data you pass to them to understand what transaction is about, and to make a proper score for the particular transaction. And of course, if sent like empty data, it's zero data or zero data approach, like just a transaction with a card number, expiration date, or CVV. Sometimes it would be tricky, especially for digital space. But in order to decrease declines like policy declines, fraud security declines, suspected fraud, you need to utilize all these features, network tokenization. You need to utilize that data insight to pass more data. So the issuers can accept your transaction to boost your acceptance rates by 4 or 5 percentage points.
And what was the feedback from your customers? Because they must have been super excited with the 7 to 8% improvement, with a less frictionless journey for their customers. So
that's true. And actually, they asked us across all acquirers to enable network tokenization on the initial payments. So that's we were pioneers who has implemented network tokenizations, and we support all upgrades in that regard, working directly with Visa, MasterCard, with every counterparts, including Silverflow. And they appreciate this feature because it boosts their bottom line. It gives additional inputs in terms of how to manage a card lifecycle. Because if their customer upgrades the card or updates the card data, subscription can be automatically continued due to account updater. Network tokenization is like there is a term, token lifecycle management. And of course, old stuff like account updater, ABU, MasterCard, or Visa account update in a classical manner, they try to change it to real-time account updater. They try to make this inside network tokenization. It's like step number 1. Step number 2 is authentication. And of course, if you check the strategies for Visa and MasterCard, you will see that they're going to build like super wallet, click to pay this. And that's like end game. That's why they push so hard, enable network tokens, make these tokens shareable between different sub-merchants or PSPs, and also to get secure transaction. That's why they invest in a lot of effort in terms of frictionless authentication. There is a regulatory pressure in that regard, because the fraud problem is a huge, especially on digital space. There are hard commitments in terms of thresholds. And of course, we see that major counterparts for the ecosystem, they inclined to make these payments friendly in terms of user experience, holder experience, first of all, and smooth as you pay in restaurant, for example, card present. So the same experience and the same fraud levels they're expecting to have in online space. So that's what we are doing together in order to get this enabled for everyone.
Great. And how has the solution impacted cost savings and productivity improvements on your end?
Oh, well, I would say there are different metrics you can implement in that regard. But to sum up, we have optimized or make our bottom line at least by 20%.
That's it. So, final question: what are your future plans with Silverflow?
We have a lot of plans. So actually, definitely for us, it's one of the most strategic partnerships what we have. So it's a long-term partnership, long-term horizon for us, like 5 years plus. And of course, we expand to receive the payments data from other schemes. So basically, we have plans to implement American Express. We have 10% of our traffic in American Express. Also, there is a plan for diners, Discover. And of course, we possess more than 40% for United States cardholder traffic. And therefore, domestic acquiring connectors for our platform are required for United States. And it's much easier to manage integrations with on the backend processor level, not with the bank acquirers or PSP directly, because for us it's to sustain much less integrations, and therefore Silverflow it's like a perfect match. They have also ambitions for United States expansion. We're working together on that, and we hope to launch our United States domestic acquiring capabilities for the next year for sure.
Well, many thanks, Yuri, for sharing these valuable insights into how Solidgate, the acquiring platform, is addressing the challenges faced by subscription businesses and how your partnership with Silverflow is driving innovation and growth for your company. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing how Solidgate continues their growth journey. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the conversation. Thank you.